Have you ever had to give a speech or a presentation and you just weren't sure how to set up your speech or how to structure it so that you could connect with your audience and really have them get the point? Well, have no fear. We're here. In this video, I'm going to share with you 5 storytelling techniques that you can use to structure your speech and make you look like a presentation rock star. Let's go. Hey there, my name's Robert Kennedy III, RK3, that's me, and I work with leaders who need to deliver critical messages with confidence. Now, before we get into this video, I need you to do a couple of favors for me. The first thing I need you to do is I need you to fist bump that subscribe button. Yes, smash it, poke it, do whatever you need to do. Just subscribe, okay? And the second thing that I need you to do is share this video with somebody who needs this value. Oh, actually, there's a third thing. 3 things. I need you to comment underneath this video. Share with me what you think about this video when we're done. Can we do that? Okay, let's get started. You've been called on to deliver a speech, a report, or a presentation, and you know that you don't want it to be the same old, boring speech, presentation, or report anymore. You've heard that storytelling is a really good way to bump up the engagement and connection factor, but you're just not sure how to bring stories into work or data-built or data-driven presentations. So I want to share with you 5 techniques that you can use to really structure any good story or presentation. The first technique is called the hero's journey. Now, in the hero's journey, this is a journey or a technique that you're all familiar with. You've seen many movies using this journey. The hero leaves their home and they set out on this crazy journey. They go from something that is comfortable, something that they know, something that they're used to, into this threatening unknown. After this, they fight a big battle. They overcome a great trial, and then they return home with a reward or with some new wisdom. This wisdom is then used to help their community. There are a lot of stories that follow this. This technique helps to take your audience on a journey with that hero, goes with them through the fights, goes with them back home where they're then able to utilize those stories to really share with those at home all the new wisdom that they've discovered. Joseph Campbell wrote a really great book called The Hero's Journey. And if you're interested more in finding out about that technique, I recommend checking out that book. The second storytelling technique with which you might want to be familiar, if you're not already familiar, is called the mountain. Now, the first part of the mountain story, you're really just telling everybody what's going on. You're creating context. You're setting the scene. But the mountain is this journey where there are ups and downs. There are breaks. There are challenges, resolution. Challenges, resolution. You've got one challenge, then it's solved. You've got a second challenge, then it's solved. A third challenge, and then it's solved. It's like one of those personal stories where you almost feel like you are always having trouble. It never ends. And the thing about a mountain story, unlike the hero's journey usually has a happy ending. The mountain story does not have to have a happy ending. It could end with someone dying. It could end with the story not resolving as you would expect it to. The third storytelling technique that you want to be familiar with is one that's called nested loops. Now, in nested loops, you layer several narratives inside of each other. A friend tells you their story, and then that story includes someone wise, maybe telling them a story that changed their lives, and it changed the arc of their story. For example, I remember writing a story about how I was practicing for a group in college. And then as I was doing that, there was a friend or someone that was a chaplain of my college who came to watch, and he said some words to me. He told me a story, and that story changed how I viewed myself as a leader. So if I'm telling that story to somebody, I'm telling them the story, And then as I'm telling them the story, I'm telling them the story that my guru told me inside of the story. So they're hearing my story plus the other story of wisdom, and then they're learning how that story of wisdom affected me and changed my life arc. That's what a nested loop does. The fourth storytelling technique is called in media res, or in the middle of things. Using this technique, you start in the heat of the action. You start in the middle of the story, as it says in the name, and you might actually be in the middle of the climax, in the middle of the conflict, in the middle of the battle, right when this story begins. But then you circle back to the beginning and you tell how this started. You give a little bit of the buildup before then returning through that battle on to the end of the story. Many movies work this way. Look for any movie that has or features flashbacks. The fifth storytelling technique is what is known as Sparklines. Nancy Duarte uses this technique, and a sparkline really is where you contrast what is happening currently with the hope of an ideal future or fantasy. For examples of this, you would probably look for many political speeches or many sermons. They share with you what is happening now, the crazy that's happening now, and then they tell you what that future is that you can look towards. These are very inspirational speeches, and they really want your audience to move to action. They share with you a different future, a different possibility, one that doesn't exist already, but one that is idealistic, one that is perfect, one that really is aspirational, gives people something to hope for. Martin Luther King delivered what was called the I Have a Dream speech, and this was a speech that used sparklines, really talking about all of the different things that existed now or then, and then comparing that with his dream of what could be. Speeches and presentations are that much better and much more interesting when there's a story involved. Stories are much easier to structure when you understand how they're put together and you have a framework. If you want to learn more about how to do this, how to structure stories, how to make your speeches, your presentations, your speaking much more interesting. If you're an organization, connect with me at kineticcommunications.com. If you're an individual and you want to learn much more about storytelling, how to deliver, how to develop, how to discover your own story, join me in the Storytellers Growth Lab. All of that information is in the comments below this video. Woo, right there. All right. Listen, I want you to subscribe to the channel. You'll get a lot more tips, tricks, tutorials, information on presentations, storytelling, communicating like a leader. Come on back in the next video and let's hang out.